This has been sent out, a fact sheet that's been sent to all Conservative MPs, urging them to back the Prime Minister. It's quite long, so if you will indulge me, I'll try and pick out the highlights for you. But they're being basically given his CV of reasons to back him in this confidence vote. They say, if we do that, if you vote for him today, we will put the distraction of the past months behind us, unite and focus on getting on with the job, which was a point that the number 10 spokesperson had just been making as well in the last few minutes. They talk about the cost of living crisis, global inflation, the ongoing war in Europe, the economy recovering after COVID. They say it would be extremely harmful to the United Kingdom and to the Conservative Party to launch a distracting, divisive and destructive leadership contest. Remember, this is coming from the Prime Minister's team. Instead, by backing Boris Johnson, we can choose today to focus on growing the economy, cutting taxes, something Emily Carver would argue that they haven't been doing very much of, making our streets safer and busting the NHS backlogs, which we were expecting to be a big announcement today. They see by backing Boris Johnson today, we can move on from distractions, get on with the job. It's the final chance to focus on the people's priorities. They say, don't forget that we secured the biggest Conservative majority since 1987. We got Brexit done. We unlocked more rapidly and restored our freedoms. We're standing up to Putin. We're delivering the cost of living help. And sorry, this is the final point I'll make from them. They say Boris Johnson has an unmatched electoral record and he will win again. I mean, this is a long document. They've obviously, because they were notified by Sir Graham Brady yesterday, the Prime Minister's supporters have been able to get a little bit ahead of the game here and prepare the path ahead of that critical vote this evening between 6 and 8. Let's bring in our reporter Paul Hawkins. He's down in the thick of it on College Green for us this morning. And Paul, goodness me, no chance of a slow news day then after a 4-day Jubilee bank holiday. And indeed, some MPs saying that they didn't want their letters counted until today. And it's moving very rapidly indeed, isn't it?
Yeah, and indeed, actually alluding to that, Isabel, when Sir Graham Brady was asked whether any of those letters that had been sent in by MPs had been effectively dated to be after the Jubilee weekend, he said that would be an accurate description of events. So he didn't confirm it, but he was basically saying, yeah, OK, some people had put in letters dated for today because they didn't want the announcement made before or even indeed over the Jubilee weekend. In fact, just now, a member of the public's just stopped to ask me, has the threshold been reached to trigger a vote of no confidence? We've just come out of the hotel. I'm assuming they were here for the Jubilee celebrations. I said, yes, they have. There's going to be a vote of no confidence this evening. And the gentleman said to me, well, he's going to need a suitcase and a marmalade sandwich if he's going to get through this one, alluding to that famous scene involving the Queen on Saturday night that, really brought a lot of smiles to a lot of us. But Boris Johnson is going to need to get on the phone today. He's going to be ringing around a lot of those MPs, basically asking them, are you going to back me or are you going to get rid of me? And it is going to be interesting. We know that 54 letters have been sent in. We don't know how many in total. 180 MPs have to vote against him to get rid of him. You would have thought that 54 at least who've sent in the letters will vote against him. Well, that would lead 136 MPs needing to vote against him. But even then, as we know, as you've been talking about on the programme with your contributors, the nature of the man suggests that even if he wins it by a slim majority, he will still stay in power. There have been some people speculating that even if he does stay in by a slim majority, potentially he could call a general election, try and trigger one early so that he gets the mandate he needs to continue. But it's going to be really interesting how it plays out this evening. And also, of course, we have those two by-elections in Wakefield and Tiverton and Honiton at the end of the month. Really interesting by-elections, those. One in a red wall seat where, at the moment, polling suggests that support has swung back towards Labour. And then the other one in Devon, Tiverton and Honiton, that is a very safe Conservative seat, and many people think the Lib Dems will be favourite to win that one, as they did in the Northwest earlier this year.
This vote of no confidence was going to be held off until after these by-elections. It was going to act as somewhat of a litmus test to the popularity of Boris Johnson in those constituencies. That is obviously not the case. This is going to be acted upon today. There is some sense of confidence, isn't there, in Boris Johnson's camp? That statement that Isabel just read out there, saying that he has an unmatched electoral record. He will win again. Absolute confidence in that statement. And they wanted it done today, didn't they? They wanted this done and dusted quickly. We will know this result by bedtime, won't we?
Yeah, we will. Yeah, by 8 o'clock this evening. It's going to be a dramatic evening in Westminster, and we will know whether the Prime Minister has won that vote of no confidence or not. This is about the nature of the man himself. Now, Theresa May, Margaret Thatcher, they survived votes of no confidence, but only by a slim majority, and they felt their authority was diminished and they couldn't carry on. Boris Johnson is a different man, and if the rules say you only need to win by one vote, you can carry on. Now, what that means is, of course, that if he does carry on and if he doesn't call for an early election, then for a year he gets immunity from a vote of no confidence. And that means they will go into the Wakefield and Honiton and Tiverton by-elections with Boris Johnson leading the party. And it will be really interesting to see how, with him at the helm, that affects the outcome of those two by-elections.
Read out a tweet that's come out first I've spotted yet. In fact, I can see a couple on my timeline from cabinet members. Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, saying the Prime Minister has my 100% backing in today's vote, and I strongly encourage colleagues to support him. He's delivered on COVID recovery and supporting Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. He has apologised for mistakes made. We must now focus on economic growth. James Cleverly as well. He's come out saying Boris won London twice, both against expectations, and then governed brilliantly. He took us from under 10% in an election to an 80-seat majority, delivered Brexit, vaccine rollout, support for Ukraine, extra cops, docs, nurses, etc., etc. I'm not going to go flaky on him now. It's all very well and good for these cabinet ministers to come out and pledge their support publicly, but this is an anonymous vote tonight, and Liz Truss certainly one of the names that could be in contention for replacing him.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Really interesting to hear what Liz Truss was saying, because she is one of the very popular candidates to become the next leader amongst the grassroots Conservatives. She always polls well amongst Conservative grassroots members, Liz Truss. So interesting to hear her say that. I heard Sajid Javid as well, the Health Secretary, this morning, saying that he wasn't interested in running for PM and that he would be voting for the Prime Minister in a vote of no confidence as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Listen, a lot of MPs are going to be weighing up, well, who is there an obvious contender? Yes, Liz Truss is popular with the grassroots. We also talk about Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor. Some of his shine has somewhat faded since that controversy over his and his wife's tax status. But a lot of MPs will be factoring that in when they make their vote this evening between 6 and 8 o'clock as to whether there is someone better than Boris Johnson who can win them a general election. Is that Liz Truss? Is that going to be Rishi Sunak? You know, there's talks about Penny Mordaunt as well, potentially running as well. So it's going to be a really interesting day. There's going to be lots of plotting, as one of your contributors was alluding to. Lots of phone calls backwards and forwards. The Prime Minister's phone will be... he's going to need to charge it up a little bit today.
Paul, thank you so much for your thoughts there on College Green. To that breaking news, that threshold has been met. 54 letters have been submitted to the 1922 committee to Sir Graham Brady. There is going to be a vote of confidence tonight between 6 and 8 p.m. Boris Johnson could survive. He could be ousted, and we will know by 8 p.m. this evening.